This is Rediffusion, broadcasting on the London station of the Independent Television Authority.
Secretary of State, we are very pleased to have you here today at Croydon. It was 40 years ago that the Independent Television Authority first transmitted commercial programs from this site. As a result, a highly successful commercial industry was born. For those 40 years, the programs were transmitted by the engineering arm of the Independent Television Authority. In 1991, NTL was formed out of the engineering arm of the Independent Television Authority and has been responsible for carrying those programs ever since. The privatisation was the catalyst which enabled NTL to achieve its full potential. We have not forgotten our customers' needs, and demonstrably since privatisation, the in-service availability of the television programme has improved to 99.9%. As well as looking after our customers, we have diversified our activities into the fields of telecommunications and satellite transmission. Until now, those businesses exceed 60% of our total turnover. Thank you, Secretary of State, for your support. I'd now like to invite you to unveil the plaque which commemorates 40 years of commercial television from this site.
Thank you greatly. Chairman, now for taking the moment of suspense before I actually pull the rope, to say, I think as a member of the British public as much as anything, to comment on the way in which commercial television has improved the quality of television across the sector. We've seen in those 40 years the most dramatic advances, more channels, more programmes, more variety, much, much better quality. And whether the drama series, whether the current affairs, the news coverage, the sport, right across the sector, we have seen a development in television, I think such that 40 years ago none of us could have anticipated. I've been impressed this morning to go to NTL and to see the way in which, on privatisation, NTL not only focused on improving the quality, the technology, the range of service here, but has constantly looked to the global market. And I believe the quality of our television across the board in this country is of such a high level. I want us all progressively to think in global terms. This is a sector where in Britain we have a great expertise, a great strength. We have the natural asset, I think as you said, Chairman, of our greatest software product being the English language. That is a great advantage to us and one that we should exploit persistently. And as we live, as you rightly say, on the verge of this takeoff of digital terrestrial television, the opportunities are enormous. I regard it as one of my high priorities as holder of my office to make sure that we set a framework, a regulatory framework which supports and encourages and promotes the opportunities available for British industry in that sector. So congratulations to all involved for 40 years, a ruby, I think, anniversary, but an anniversary which doesn't really mean the mark of middle age, but I think more the threshold of enormous opportunities. But as they say, life begins at 40. And with that, I shall happily commemorate the 40th anniversary of the first ITV transmissions here in Croydon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Wonderful plaque.
transmission started on the 13th of September 1955. Programs began on the 22nd of September. Right, stand by, everyone.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Cue grams and take it.
Good evening. Here is the news from ITM. From Cape Canaveral, it's just been reported that following Colonel Glenn's success yesterday, another American spaceflight is to be made in the spring. And further orbits will be made every 2 months this year, and next year, a two-man space ride that will last a week. Meanwhile, Colonel Glenn's in excellent shape. This was announced today on Grand Turk Island in the Bahamas, where he was flown last night after being pulled from the Atlantic. He's spending 48 hours on the island, having medical checks and being interrogated, and then he'll fly to Cape Canaveral on Friday for a hero's welcome.
Through all the next preparations. Lou 7, take 1, cue Hugh.
And now for more down-to-earth matters, pay. The big railway unions today formally accepted Dr. Beeching's 3% pay offer. It will come into force on April the 1st.
In 1969, all items.
What's wonderful, isn't it? It's a beautiful elocution, too.
Yes.
And no modesty balls.
lost
He
the
looks
way
very
somewhere.
exposed, doesn't he, with nothing covering his knees.
We've checked Aldborough.
Yes, for a minute. All right. Now, this does look a little bit different to the equipment we were seeing just now in the clips.
Yes, it is. Yes, it's certainly come on somewhat since then. You'll notice that the main thing really is our monitoring, off-air monitoring of TV services.
What are we seeing? What are the three?
They're the audio, because we now look after a vast range of audio channels. It's impossible to listen to more than two at once from two speakers, so we have visual indication of their presence. Okay. Probably specifically our monitoring in front of us with ITV signals on the left from Crystal Pass, which is a London transmitter. We've also got off-air signals from Meridian's area,
Yes.
of Heathfield and Hamilton, and Sudbury, which is Anglia television.
What are we watching in the middle of the box there?
With Discovery, Discovery is one of the Astra satellite channels. It's one that's up in Crawley Court. You saw the dishes this morning.
Yes.
We get that as again, it's a received signal, so it's back off the satellite. Again, alongside that is Bravo and TNT, which are further Astra services. And on Astra 1D, which is one of the latest satellites to go up, is CTV. On the right-hand side, we've got Channel 4 signals. At all our transmitting stations, we share them with the BBC. So the 4 services generally come out of to BBC, ITV, Channel 4. So they're the signals from Channel 4 from the same transmitters as on the left, it's a mirror. You notice at the top there we've got the CBS. That was one of the first things that MTR did. It's actually uplinked from this site here. It's looked after by the Croydon Service Centre team. There are a number of other uplinks we do. NBC is from Battersea, Middle East Broadcasting. That was designed and built by MTR. Which one? That's in Battersea. It's Silverthorne Road. They've got a studio, BSP. It is. Yeah, sure. Yeah,
Will the whole thing go dark?
If it will, we'll take you out very quickly.
We'll sort it out.
Oh, yes.
Now, when you're sitting here, what is your job? What are you actually watching? I mean, what if something happens? What will you do?
Well, we get the alarms on, if anything does go wrong, we get the alarms on this monitoring right? Because that's the alarm. Also, we have a
How old is it? Is it out of date yet?
Oh, yes.
And in 40 years here, what's been the worst crisis? What was the worst? What happened to the great storm? Did you have much damage there?
I don't think anything happened on site here, though. But
the storm in October
87,
yeah. We lost our main supplies, which is extremely unusual. We've got 2 very secure supplies here, and most of the transmitters were off. It was easy to say which ones were on. And we run a small portable generator, and you can have a television or a toaster. but you could have both.
I'm pleased.
Exactly 40 years ago today, ITV was launched to the television-owning public. For the first time ever, the brand new station offered an alternative to the BBC. To mark the celebrations, the National Heritage Secretary, Virginia Bottomley, this morning visited the original ITV headquarters in Croydon. So what exactly did ITV offer all those years ago? Our reporter, Christopher Peacock, has been searching through the television archives to give you a glimpse of some of the programmes you may remember and some you may not.
Son of Canadian, watch that, definitely.
Few people owned up to watching it.
The top I
This was
got,
the birth of commercial television. The belief was it must be common.
Hands up if those in favour of a draw with Knight Naggin. Right, put it down, you've been out.
But behind the curtains in streets and avenues, ITV quickly gained a huge following as the alternative channel, the other side. The real novelty were the commercials.
That's true, I didn't see that. What we really loved were the advertisements.
SR toothpaste was the very first commercial that ever went to air. It spawned the adverts explosion that would shape the way we live.
See your dentist regularly.
ITV quickly developed a huge following for entertainment and quiz shows. Benny Hill first put a smile on the nation's face in 1955. ITN came on the air to tell us the news the way it was. And today, ITV makes its very own headlines as it reaches its 40th birthday. This is Christopher Peacock for London Today.
The way we were. Well, at 40 years old,
So far, there hasn't been a shortage of takers before the November. Yes, very precise elocution of all the people reading the news is very striking and makes one laugh now.
You also watched The Lone Ranger, I think.
I watched The Lone Ranger.
And Robin Hood?
And Robin Hood, yes, quite a bit.
What about your own family? I mean, they've grown up with television. How important has it been to them? I mean, how has it shaped and informed them?
I think that children now have a much better understanding of the world. Any MP, quite apart from any mother, knows the way in which youngsters now are worried about Bosnia, know what's going on in Rwanda, worry about the environment, and I think television overwhelmingly has been a great force for good. I think the other group for whom television really is a lifeline is the housebound and the dependent who participate in the nation's events. If you think about VE Day or VJ Day this year, the nation was bound together by means of television in sharing those events. So, of course, we have constantly to monitor the good effects and sometimes the adverse effects. People are concerned, for example, about the effect of a great deal of violence on youngsters. But that is one aspect, overwhelmingly, in my view, in terms of opening up the world to the individual, in bringing enormous enjoyment and pleasure and participation to the citizens of this country. Television has been quite remarkable, and the contribution of independent television in particular has undoubtedly been an enormous force for good. And when you came, did you come here?
I came here 15 years.
What were you doing there?
We set up VHF sets, and where the corridor is there were 3 VHF sets. We had a control room at the other end of the building, on the first control room. So I just came into VHF, and that was on its way out. We had something called a standards converter, so everything was produced for UHF, for television. And it was converted down to go to VHF.
Feeder cables, and not only that, on structures which are not self-supporting, like this one here at Croydon, you've actually got a very thin mast, and then you've got stay lanes going out. Somebody's actually tried to cut through that as well. Because of the quality of the steel, they didn't get very far, I'm pleased to say, or else it could have been a disastrous result. So it's things like that which, yeah, and we've just got to cope with 24 hours a day, 365 days a year.
And now our attitude is it's nobody else's fault but ours.
Absolutely.
This thing's got to stay on the air.
Yeah. Hence why you see reserve transmitters here. These are all, I'm pleased to say that we have only had to use them for preventive maintenance. In other words, when we do maintenance on our antenna at Crystal Palace, then by using these transmitters, it allows us to do the work much more quickly and efficiently. So that's the only time we've used them. We obviously make sure that they are available when they're required, because if they weren't,
Indeed.
Well.
How old in the life then?
It's my standby. And I'm now very proud of it.
And Jeremy hopes it's never switched on.
I don't want really to spoil your evening's entertainment by taking up your time from eating and drinking. I mean, there's plenty still to eat and there's quite a bit still to drink, especially for those that are not driving, to take the advantage of the situation. Thank you very much for coming tonight. It is an auspicious occasion. You all were invited along by Eddie Howarth. Regrettably, Eddie himself couldn't be here at the last minute, so he's asked me to apologise for him and say, you know, he is here in spirit, even though he's not joining in the festivities tonight. It is an auspicious occasion, 40 years of transmission from this site. In fact, this piece of real estate is the only real estate that dates back to the actual start of the ITV era. Even the head office that we had was in Queensgate at the time, and then it was moved to Knightsbridge. And then, of course, something like 22 years ago, it was moved down to Crawley Court. Anyway, this piece of real estate dates back from day one, and it's an important occasion, an occasion which we all have taken advantage of the generosity of our company to drink and eat, and also as a small memento for all of the people here tonight. I'm not asking you to leave, you can stay as long as you like, but when you leave there is a small memento for you to take away as a remembrance of tonight, the 40th anniversary of the start of independent television in the United Kingdom. Well, those that have a drink, I'm sure, would like to toast the company and say, look forward to the next 40 years. N to NTL.